All right, in this lesson, I'm going to show you something called synthetic division. It's kind of like a fake division, and it's a bypass from long division, which I think you'll really like. The only problem with it is that it has some limitations, and that's what I put in the red here. The only way you can use synthetic division if that divisor is linear, meaning x to the first power, and it has a lead coefficient of 1. All right, so if you look at the examples I have here, this is the divisor. Remember, this is the divisor. This is linear because x is to the power of 1, and the leading coefficient is 1. Same thing on number 2. Those two criteria are met. And that's the way it's going to be on this assignment. I'm not going to try to trick you, but just for future reference, you can only use synthetic division if this is linear and that leading coefficient is a 1. So let me show you how this works. Your directions today are going to be this. State if the binomial is a factor of the given polynomial. Remember, it is a factor if there's no remainder when you divide. Okay, that was the same as long division. It's just going to be synthetic, and I'll show you what this looks like. So here's how we're going to start this. What you're going to do first is imagine this x minus 2. All right, if you put an equal 0, wouldn't that mean that x equals positive 2? So that is going to be what we're going to put on the outside. Now notice we're going to put a little angle on there. It's not that regular old division bar, but just the angle. Now the next thing we're going to do is take this dividend, remember this is called the dividend, and take out the x's. Just leave the coefficients in descending order. So I'm going to go 3, -1, -2, -10. So I took out all the x's. Give yourself a little space and draw a line. And now here's how it works. We drop that first number straight down, and then we multiply. 3 times 2 is 6, and then we add this way. -1 plus 6 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. -2 plus 10 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. That leaves me with a 6. All right, so this is my remainder. Whatever I end up with on the back is the remainder. Now I need to write my final answer. Now to do this, stop and think for a moment. This was our original dividend, and we divided an x out. So when our answer is going to be 1 less degree than the original. So I'm going to put an x squared with this term, plus 5x plus 8. And then this is my remainder, so it'll be plus 6 over the divisor like before, x minus 2. So this one has a remainder, so it is not a factor. So I would say no, not a factor. Look at number 2. Let's try it again. All right, we're going to remember this part over here that goes in the right side is going to be what happens when you put this equal to 0? Well, x will be -5. So that's what goes over here. Then I make sure everything's in descending power order, like 2, 1, 0. And then I take out the x's. So I will have a 1, a 13, and a 40. All right, give yourself some space. And here we go. So drop that 1 straight down. 1 times 5 is -5. 13 minus 5 is 8. 8 times -5 is -40. This gives me 0, meaning there's no remainder. Now I can write this in the correct form. So remember, I'm one degree less than the original. So this would just be 1x plus 8. You don't have to write the 1. No remainder. So this is my answer, and this is yes, this is a factor. X plus 5 is a factor. So if you wanted to check it, you could FOIL back x plus 5 times x plus 8, and you would get this original polynomial. All right. So before we move on, let's just make ourselves a couple little notes so that you can quick reference this later. What did we do here? These right here are the coefficients of the dividend. All right. Just so you remember that. This is the remainder right here. Whatever comes out at the bottom. And when you write your answer, it's always going to be 1 degree less than the original. All right, 1 degree less than the original because we're dividing out an x, a linear function. All right, let's try a couple more. Now this one, Stop and notice x to the third, and then it goes x to the first, so we're missing an x squared term. So I have to put in a placeholder when I drop my x value. So let's first figure out our divisor here. So if I set that equal to 0, that means x is a 2, right? So I put a 2. Now I put in my coefficients, 1, 0 for the placeholder for x squared, -3, -2. All right, then we go through the process. Drop the 1, 1 times 2 is 2, 0 plus 2 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, -3 plus 4 is 1, 1 times 2 is 2, and then there's no remainder, so that's wonderful. Now go back, and we're going to put these in, put the x's back in, but remember it's 1 degree less, so it's going to be x squared plus 2x plus 1. And since there was no remainder, then yes, that x minus 2 is a factor of the polynomial. So if I multiplied x minus 2 times this trinomial, I would end back up with the original dividend. All right, let's try number 4. Now, number 4, if you look quickly at it, you might miss this, but notice that the highest exponent is not in the right place. It should be in the front, right? So when you write your coefficients out, you have to put them in exponent order. So my coefficients are going to go 2, then 6, then 1, then 3. Now, what's going to go over here? Well, in your mind, you don't have to write all this out. You just figure this out. X will be -3. All right, now let's get this done. So bring the 2 straight down. 2 times -3 is -6. 0 times -3 is 0. Drop the 1. 1 times -3 is -3. So this is 0. So there's no remainder here either. Now when I go in and put my x's, remember I started with x cubed, so this will be x squared. There is no x term, so I don't need to write that. I just do the constant, the one without the x. So 2x squared plus 1. And then I would say, yes, this is a factor. The x plus 3 is a factor of the polynomial. Now last one, all right? Let's do this. Look, our exponents go x to the third, x squared. I'm missing an x term, so I need to have a 0x in there as a placeholder. So that will work for my coefficients. So I'll have 6, -5, 0, and 9. Now over here, do it in your head, this will be -1/2. So don't let that fraction freak you out. I'll show you how it's going to work. Bring the 6 down. 6 times -1/2 is like dividing by -2. So 6 divided by -2 is -3. Add them, I get -8. -8 divided by -2 is a +4. 0 plus 4 is 4. 4 times divided by -2 is a -2. So this gives me a remainder of 7. Okay, now when I write this with the x's back in it, I start with 1 power down, so not cubed, but squared, minus 8x plus 4, and now here's my remainder, plus 7 over the divisor, x plus 1/2. So since there is a remainder, this is not a factor of the polynomial. All right, I hope you like this, and I'm sure you'll be using it more often than the long division. All right, let me know what questions you have when you get to class. Good luck.